Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 14, Scars. People want to know, is this one of the best episodes ever on The Walking Dead? It had a lot of good elements. I know there's a lot of debate on our Facebook fan page whether it was a filler episode or not. I'm going to give you my thoughts and give you my opinions on that, and I'm going to ask some of you to chime in. This stream might be a little less chaotic. The last stream, we had some spoiler information that's out there, and it gets a little bit crazy. I am going to ask you guys to do me a favor. I know some super chatters will come on and people have their own opinions. We're going to try to keep it focused on episode 14 as much as possible, and please, no spoilers from last episode that we talked about. We'll do some more throughout the week, but we do have people that want to participate in some of the recap, some of the review, their thoughts and opinions, and it would just be awesome if you guys would reserve any Pike predictions or anything, and just save those for the videos that we're going to talk about it. So here's a little bit of the format of what we do with this. We're probably going to come up with about 5 different scenes and rate those in order. We're going to talk about how good they were. I also have some of the Patreon predictions where they went through and gave me their list. Some have a little bit more detail than others. I didn't get a chance to do it as we normally do. Normally we set it up as like a survey. This one actually has some really detailed information of what they liked and what they didn't like. And we're kind of in the middle because I think we're very hyped up about how the fair is going to play out and all of the things that we're looking forward to and all the anxiety. But I don't think we can get too far removed from this last episode. And I think what's going to happen is because it's been rapid fire. And credit Angela Kang for that. She has not really dwelled on a storyline. It's just one thing to the next thing to the next thing. So really excited to see what's going to go down. But let's give credit where credit is due. I just want to know, with Scars, do you guys have this? How many people would have Scars rated in their top 10 of Walking Dead episodes, and where would you rank that? I know it's a tough question, but if you really like this a lot, you should be able to narrow it down, with your top 3, top 4, top 5. Just kind of curious to see where everybody kind of rates this. Does Jocelyn exist in the comics? I don't think so. One of the best, says Casey. Mike Reiser for sure. Drama King say number 5. Probably top 4. This certainly had all the elements of what I like about The Walking Dead. With the flashback, we got a little bit of the story being told. I think we also understand with the time frame and Daryl being out there, Daryl telling Michonne, and he just re-emphasizes it, that I'm never going to give up. So you certainly see Daryl's character. And then later on, when we're in real time, where Daryl shows up with Henry, Connie, and Lydia, Michonne does say, I trust Daryl. And I think she always liked Daryl and she believes in Daryl, but I think Daryl being out there not giving up really gave it a whole different level of security. So I'm going to jump around. I do like to include some of the Patreons in our streams. So some of the Patreon posts, and see if you guys agree with this. This is Tyler Bradley. Most memorable moments for me were when Michonne freaked out about the kids attacking her, and Judith asking Daryl what her dad would do. Certainly, those are 2 that were on my list. Deidre Lesage, when the kid cut Michonne's stomach. Actually, Deidre and Emmy both had that picked as... If you didn't cringe when that happened, I don't know. I've obviously never been pregnant, never been in that situation, but I felt literally her pain when that happened. It had some gruesome elements, especially for television. Tom Ferreira says the Scar explanation is basically a ghost story. Tom, you're going to have to go into a little bit more detail. What do you mean by that? I want to follow you, but I'm a little lost. You don't have to super chat it. Just you can type a follow-up. Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit more. Michelle G says, I thought she may lose RJ at that point. Yeah, here's the thing, and I saw this a lot for the Alexandrians and as a reminder. I don't want to say it's cliche or just an overused word, but I saw the word filler several times, and I don't agree. I don't agree when there's a flashback that's a filler episode. To me, when I hear that, it's a little bit. It almost has a negative connotation, like, this is kind of filling the time, filling in the spaces until we get to the next point. There are ways for episodes to tell a story and to be transitional without kind of using it's a filler. It's just kind of getting us by to the next thing. And maybe that's not what people mean by that, but that is what the understanding is when you use that terminology. And I won't agree with that because there's things that happened that I think were relevant to the future. And I like the way they kept going back with that. Drama King. In drama, you feel free to elaborate because I think that's what you were getting at a little bit earlier, is how Michonne's actions could have affected the hilltop and why. Okay, here we go. Thanks for typing that again. Kills. Do you think this explains why Hilltop shuns Michonne? Because I think it has something to do with Maggie. Well, in some degrees, we don't know. We still don't know everything that could have happened. But yes, I do think that's why. I don't know if it's Hilltop shunning Michonne or Michonne cutting off every other group because she is not going to trust anybody any longer. Here's the problem with Michonne. If this is somebody she grew up with, if this is somebody she trusted implicitly, knew her deepest, darkest secrets, and if this person, Jocelyn, could turn on her and take her kids, what reason does she have to trust Maggie? And I think Michonne she's ruling that way, that she's just completely in shock. If I can't trust this person, then I can't trust these other people that have made questionable decisions. And why would she trust Maggie? There's still some bad decision making that she thinks that Maggie made. And then carried a step further, what's the point of trusting Ezekiel and Daryl? They're not out, Ezekiel and Carol, not Daryl. They're not out here looking for Rick. So, drama, the question that I would have as a pushback, why is Daryl looking for Rick for 5, 6, 7 months, throughout her pregnancy, and Maggie's not? Where's the king? Why is King Ezekiel not out on that riverbank walking to the ocean and back? So, wouldn't you certainly think that there's some animosity there? Where are all the kingdom? Where are all the knights in shining armor? Where are their horses? Why do they not continue to scour the area every single day? Where are all the people from Hilltop? Why are they not out there looking? So I think that's a little bit of her issue, is that she's got Daryl out there that's never going to give up, and she's got all these other people that are concerned about their own community. That would be what I think is implied. It doesn't mean, you can definitely take the other end of the argument. You could say, well, they did that. Okay, we didn't see it, but right after the explosion, all of the king's men were out there looking. Sure, you could make that assessment, but 6 months later they're not, and Daryl still is. So I think in order to really get to the crux of the matter here is, why is Daryl loyal and all these other people are not? And ultimately, I think somebody used the term ghost a little bit ago. The ghost story is maybe Tara's tired of it. Tara's tired of Michonne ruling that way and tired of everything of being about finding the ghost of Rick Grimes. So she's had enough. She's got to leave. Not everybody can live in that past forever. And they're probably thinking like Michonne, let it go. We're not out there exploring. We're not meeting new people. Every decision we make, you veto it. So we're out. So it works both ways. I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. I'm just saying that you got to understand the context of the person and the character. And I think that's evident in the fact that RJ does not get out a whole lot. RJ's very sheltered. So, clearly, Michonne's got some demons that she can't get past. Because, who would not be beyond traumatized? Let's not make light of that, because that is a scene. Joe Fulford, thanks for that super chat. Appreciate that, Joe. Look, I'm not telling you to live through every bit of Michonne's pain, but realize this, okay? We're watching this on television, and we're watching it in the process of 30 seconds to a minute, then we get a commercial break, then we come back. Daryl and Michonne were both strung up. This is a pregnant woman who is got her wrist tied. These kids have to build the fire. Okay, they don't build the fire in 5 seconds. That fire has to get nice and hot. Then they got a branding iron. All right. Then she doesn't know where Judith is. She doesn't know where her child is. So she's got the emotional stress of going with that. And then she's got RJ probably doing cartwheels and backflips. So she's going through that pain. And then you look over at Daryl, and you don't know what they're going to do to him. Are they going to brand him? Are they going to kill him? So she's probably fearing for her life, and she can't do anything about it. Then she sees them mark Daryl. Look, this is not happening in the 60 seconds we see it on television. As a viewer, you got to put yourself into the role of Michonne. This is probably hours worth of agonizing. And you wonder why she hates people and she doesn't just accept other communities. Where were they at? Why were they not out there? This is absolute gruesome. And that's why when I see it's a filler episode and it wasn't very good, I'm not picking on Ellis. We disagree on a lot of things. But to me, I enjoy and I think about the episode and I think about all the little details that are implied after I finish watching the episode. When we're talking about it, we're analyzing it. That you can't put all that in television and you can't do it all in real time. So Joe Fulford with a follow-up says, unless I missed something, I still don't know what the feud is between Michonne and the other camps. And Joe, that's kind of what we're digging into a little bit more, is why would Michonne not trust the other camps? Why would she want to keep sending resources out? Why would there be a risk? Why keep doing it when she wants to protect those people in their four walls? And I think if we go scene by scene and break this down, and it would be in real time, how long do you think Michonne and Daryl were there? Just rough idea. How tortured, emotionally, listening to what Jocelyn said about the kids, and knowing that this damage could cost you your baby. All right. Here's the other thing that I need everybody here to realize. How many people were emotionally moved when Michonne found Rick's gun? How many people thought that was a nice moment? She lost Rick, she lost the gun, and then she found it, right? That was moving. Tom Ferrer, I agree. Jocelyn was a good villain. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a follow-up question. She lost Rick, she lost the gun, she found it. What's the last thing that Michonne has of Rick's? Think about this for a second before you answer. What's the most precious thing that she has of Rick's? Absolutely. And you don't think that she thought that she was going to lose RJ? She was tied up. I mean, even the branding alone, the heat from that branding could have made her lose her baby. And then she was stabbed in the stomach. And then she was beaten with a 2x4. Are you kidding me? And the whole time, and then she's got the emotional distress of where's Judith, and then these kids are attacking her. I mean, look, anyone that's not a superhero and is not as strong as Michonne, not only would they have lost their life, but they would have, at a minimum, lost their baby's life. She was fighting not only to protect Judith, but to protect RJ. So if you don't think RJ is one sheltered, protected child, that is her Rick Grimes, you're mistaken. That is a big storyline. And Tom says Michonne was broken. She was torn down. I don't know. I would say she was broken. I think when she came back, she was determined that it is going to be her way, that nothing is going to come in between her and her kids. And look, maybe not even her and her kids. And don't take this the wrong way. She loves Judith, but her and RJ. I think now there's a deeper bond between her and RJ that we haven't seen, because she has taken her eye off Judith a couple times. She has let Judith go out and find Magnus Group. She has turned the other way while Judith's out talking to Negan, and she lost Judith again. And why? Probably because she's spending a lot of time making sure nothing happens. I mean, she's still traumatized that nothing is going to happen to RJ. That is precious to her. Now, might not be discussed, might not be dug into. See, I think when the writers write this, I think they mean for us to really dig in and get to all that, but you just can't because the show happens so fast. RJ is Rick Jr. Drama King kills. When Daryl came out, his knives are bloody. Do you think he killed other kids? I do. I do know that the spoilers had predicted that it was just Michonne and Daryl didn't. I think Daryl did the same thing. I mean, we're never going to get another backstory to tell the backstory. It's one of those things, I think they left it vague enough to make it what you want it to be. They left it vague enough so we would talk about it. If you think Daryl had to do it and that story works for you, then the bloody knives validate that. If you don't want to think that Daryl, had to go to that level that Michonne had to go to, then you can probably say, yeah, he killed some walkers. I mean, it's whatever works, but, we're not going to get a flashback to a flashback. And you know what? I love it. I love that not every single step of The Walking Dead is planned out for us, that they leave enough for us to make our own assessments. There was no doubt that the bloody knives was meant to be a debate. By the beard of Zeus, kills if you noticed that common storyline with Judith being taken off with Scary Kids since Lizzie, just like Carl. I think it is, but when you're 9 seasons, into something, you're going to have some repetition in the storylines. No doubt about it. But I think it worked. I think it worked with this. And I love the comments. You guys have some amazing comments. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read a couple more of the Patreon's comments if you guys don't mind, because I do want to get some of them included in here. Crystal Singer Chick says, my number one is Daryl and Michonne searching for Rick. That would be June Smith's number one, too. Where's June Smith? Sheila Beasley, most memorable, Michonne fighting the children. Amy Ferrero, I love the scene with Judith and Daryl talking. She was wanting to know what Rick would have done. Mitch True Dat Pudding, when Michonne realized that her friend had betrayed her. And she found them in the pain, all the pain that Jocelyn put a pregnant Michonne through. I mentioned Emmy, Michonne getting cut. Lisa Khaleesi says, actually a lot to pick from. But number one was when Judith tells Michonne she remembers what happened. Darlene Reinig says, for me, Children of the Corn branding Michonne and Daryl. Deborah Cox, for me it was finding Rick's gun. Maggie B, the children branding Michonne. Anissa Wallace, a scene of Michonne and Daryl getting branded. And Betty Jackson says, Judith asking Daryl what her dad would do. So the torture is a big part of this. I'm going to ask you guys to sort of think along with me. We do this. We kind of have a little gathering every week, and we will give this overall show rating in a little bit. But I'm going to ask you guys, as we talked about all the scenes, I'm going to throw a few of them out there. Michonne and Lydia, Henry and Lydia, her touching his scar. Maybe a callback to Sophia and Carl with the eye socket. You guys think, in a watered down sort of version? I mean, I could have seen that as a callback. Like, she's like, I like your scar. I might be reaching a little bit. June Smith, super chatting it, says, I can't fathom what went through Michonne's mind seeing Rick's gun. She loved him. I'm not even in the show, and it did my heart good to see something of him again and everything he went through. June Smith. I knew we could count on June for a Rick Grimes super chat. But June, I got a question for June. More moving, Rick's gun or Michonne fighting to save RJ's life? What do you think? And everybody else, chime in. Because in the beginning, when I first watched, I'm thinking, Michonne's fighting to save her life. And then she's fighting to save Judith. Like, where's Judith? But then I really had to get down into it and say, no, this has a much, much deeper meaning. Both. Good answer. All right, so we've identified a lot of scenes. You guys know about the torture, the branding, the kids hunting, all of that happened. The gun, Daryl telling Michonne he'll look forever. So give me, you got to think backwards, everybody, from 5 to 1. Give me your number 5 out of the top 5 scenes. I've got Daryl and Judith scene. I've got the Daryl and Judith talk. And I know you guys are going to disagree with at least one of mine. Drama King says the Negan talk. Derek says Daryl and Judith. Sam says Michonne and Negan. American Pride agrees with that. Angie Homan has the same. A lot of people agree. Because, it was a very moving scene. She said, what would my dad do? And I'm okay. I'm okay with flip-flopping these because I'm going to ask you guys for your number 4 because I think some people, their number 5 is my number 4. I thought the Negan and Michonne scene was better than the Daryl and Judith scene. I love Judith, and Judith did a good job all throughout. She actually did a really good job with Michonne as well. But I thought the Negan and Michonne was good because I thought that Michonne really went after Negan, and he talked some sense into her. And I'm really, really loving what Jeffrey Dean Morgan is doing in a very limited role. Because they keep him locked up. They haven't given him a lot of airtime, and I know he's going to get his moment. But boy, for very little FaceTime, he's absolutely crushing it. And he just got up and said, she is your daughter. He's like, at this point, he's like, you know what? You're either going to trust me, you're going to like me, you're not going to like me, but I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the new me. And I think in part of that, I absolutely loved what the writers did by Michonne asking him, did you tell Judith about Glenn and Abraham? I mean, when she asked that, because that's the question that we want to ask him, right? I mean, how many people in his stream wanted to know that? How many people really wanted to know if Negan told Judith everything? I was curious, and the fact that they put that level of detail in there, and he said, I told her everything. Because what that did is that shows you that Judith likes him regardless. She knows all the stuff he did, and she has moved on. And I think in the bigger picture, that probably says it's time for Michonne to move on. Greg LeBeau says, did anyone catch the actual reasoning for the kids branding Michonne and Daryl? I didn't recall the purpose of that torture. I'm going to get back to that because, Greg, it's a great question. So there were two reasons for it. One, she's trying to teach them. I caught some of it in Talking Dead. She's trying to teach them various tactics and techniques. And then she also said, where the kid said, that's KCF, mark your kill and kill your mark. She's trying to teach them how to torture. She's trying to teach them to be immune to violence. And then she's trying to teach them to hunt people down like dogs. That was the purpose. That you might as well, it doesn't matter how loud these people yell. It doesn't hurt you. It hurts them. That's what she's trying to do. The louder they yell, just block it out. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to block it out. So Julia Muse says, why didn't they? Oh, they were going to kill. I think the group escaped before they got a chance to, but I do think it was always going to be a game of cat and mouse. If Daryl didn't escape, they were going to release them and hunt them down. It was going to be a hunt. It was going to be a hunt without weapons. But since they escaped, then it evened the playing field a little bit more. I like the comparisons we heard all week long of Children of the Corn and Lord of the Flies. Hopefully, Greg, that kind of, that's the little bits and pieces. Sheila Beasley. I absolutely love this episode. Definitely rates in my top 5 of all time. Super chatting for my birthday tomorrow. Love to the Army. Thank you, Kills, for the absolute best Walking Dead group ever. Sheila Beasley. First of all, happy birthday early, and hopefully we see you tomorrow. And if so, we'll give you the birthday song. But thank you. Thank you for the super chat, but thank you for being here as well and being a part of our channel growth. I'm moving on to number 3, everybody. So my number 3, some people are going to have this rated a little bit higher. I got Rick's gun. So I got Daryl and Judith scene. I got Negan and Michonne scene, which probably could have been rated higher in the context of things. And then I got Michonne finding Rick's gun as number 3. Let's see what you guys have as number 3. Jason Craig's got the gun. Daryl and Judith talk. Love the gun. Negan and Michonne as number 3, says Jennifer. Sheila says the Michonne and Judith talk. That was really, really good. Ooh, American Pride. Daryl pledging to never stop looking had rated a little bit higher. Drama King says Judith screaming for her mother when the walker grabbed her, showing she's still a kid. That was incredible as well. Judith out there practicing trying to be a mini Michonne. Yeah, there were a lot of good breakdowns with that. With that being said, because my top 2 are very closely related. But I did kind of forget about that scene drama, but it was good. So let me say this, because a few people have kind of jumped in, and I know there's some strong opinions. And the people that didn't love the episode, hey, I appreciate you guys being here too. I mean, certainly you have a right. I'm not asking that everybody says, hey, this is the best one of all time. That's why we have individual conversations around it. The only pushback that I would give is if we're doing kind of these streams and then somebody brings up something and it hits a nerve. Remember, the episode, it's with the commercials, it's 40 minutes? So you get all this stuff sort of wrapped into one. And sometimes when you're doing a review and a recap, somebody else's point or a hidden clue or something makes you stop and pause, and then it lets you appreciate it and understand it a little bit more. And Peter Washington, I agree. How many people liked the episode because exactly what Peter Washington just said? It had a season 1 vibe to it. It had kind of that dark, twisted Walking Dead. I think that's another great point. I already had the episode rated really high, but you guys just come up with arguments that and points that make it even better. Derek, the whole season does, but I think this one did a little bit more, the more I think about it. So, my number 2, and I hate for it to be number 2, because I got to tell you, I was biting my bottom lip. The branding scene of Daryl and Michonne, the scars. Not only because it's been a mystery for a long time, and when we got to that point, I knew exactly what was going to happen. But honestly, I didn't care about Daryl getting branded. I was like, you know what? They could cut Daryl. They could do whatever. The fact that Michonne was second and she had to watch it happen, and if you guys want to see like absolute terror, go back and watch that scene of Michonne. The acting is incredible. Her body language, her movements, her facial expressions, it just put me in that moment, and absolutely, I needed that moment to end. I needed them to move past that. And I think, Derek, to your point, people saying, like, I don't want to watch it again, that shows you how powerful of a scene it was. That, for her to be in that role and in that moment and to bring everybody else into that pain, knowing that she's pregnant, once again, if Michonne's not pregnant and it's just her and Daryl and they're being tortured, it probably doesn't bother me as much because they're strong. But her situation and the fact that this didn't happen when she was a month pregnant, this happened like way, way into her pregnancy. So you guys, if you could list your number 2, and I'm going to give you my number 1. And my number 1 My number one by far was her having to take out those kids. And she even says, like, I don't want to have to hurt you. She's waiting till the last possible moment. And I know in our streams, some people said, look, no big deal. She did what she had to do, and she was defending herself. And I get that. I get that being a snap comment. But keep in mind, once again, the writing and the acting was brilliant. Because if we can just callously say, yeah, that's what all of us would do, we would. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You can say you would, but you wouldn't. You would have waited till the last minute. I understand. They're ruthless. They're evil. They just tortured you. But it's like they say in those movies. You don't come back from it. And she knew that. She knew that you can't change what happens there. And of all the things they did to her, she still had the composure and she knew how she was going to feel about it before she even did it. Ellis, you're right. You were them. But the fact that she waited till the last possible second, and it wasn't like, you know what? It's going to go down right now. I'm taking all of you out. Class, composure, the value of human life, and then to have no choice but to do the thing that you don't want to do. Loved it. And once again, the anguish and the fear of as that was happening, you could see. I don't know. You guys might not have ever heard this, but have you ever heard like your grandparents, I guess, or your parents, I guess, when they would, if you were from the South and you did something wrong and you got spanked for it. I know that doesn't happen in all areas. You ever heard a parent say, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you? And you're like, no, that's not what happened. It actually hurt me a little worse than it hurt you. Not advocating, because I know parents are very careful with how they discipline their kids, and they should be. But I felt like Michonne, even though she was hurting them, I felt like she was being tortured as well. Every time she swung that katana, it was like she was being cut in the stomach all over again. And I know it's probably like a metaphor because we actually saw it happen. We literally saw her get stabbed. But I think each one of those swings was just another and another and another. And she was feeling what they were going through, knowing that these kids, I don't know if it happens slow enough for us to fully understand the controversy. June Smith says, number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Rick's gun, the whole show. June. That's not the whole show. Actually, you could have just put it on rewind. You could have just played I'm going to do like a remix of Michonne picking up the gun and just play it for June. So let me ask a question that's probably going to divide the audience a little bit. Anybody feel bad for the kids? We could make up our own backstory, right? A lot of people say no. Ellis is like, why? Did those kids choose to be killers? Seriously, I am shocked. I am shocked by the amount of people that say no. You guys don't even see the slightest little bit of victim in those kids? That their parents are dead? That they've been brainwashed? That they've been forced to kill? You don't see this is the thing. This is the thing with The Walking Dead. And this is what I love about it. We protect the main character so much. We protect Michonne so much. I didn't like the fact that Michonne got tortured. In fact, I told you it was excruciating. But I don't see a black or white. I don't see a right or wrong. I don't see a clear justification. I see wrong in what the kids do, and I see they're in a situation that is a very tough situation. I don't think they were born little monsters. I don't think they were born evil. I think they've been twisted and manipulated and Jocelyn. I mean, I can absolutely hate Jocelyn. What she did to these kids to force them into that situation? So here's my question. If Michonne would have found the same group of kids, would they have been killers? Would they have been out there branding people? Paris, they're kids. How did she force them? They're children with one adult. They're a product of what that person is making them be. They could have had a completely different life. Case in point. Earl and Tammy Rose have a whisperer baby. Should that baby be eaten by walkers because it's a whisperer baby? Or perhaps could that baby be given a chance to become something? How about Gracie? How do you guys feel about Gracie? Oh, it's different, Derek. How do you feel about Gracie? Should Gracie be like her father? Or was Gracie given a different opportunity? No. See, first of all, you can't make the argument based on not knowing when the kids became under her control. Because I'm seeing some people, teenagers would know better, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids would know better, but you don't know at what point these kids were brainwashed and trained and forced to do the things that she wants them to do. William, The Walking Dead billboard. Michonne pleaded with them to stop, gave them a chance to live, and joined them at Alexandria. She created monsters, and it's kill or be killed. What if Winnie almost kills Michonne as a whisper? Winnie's revenge. Right, Angie? It's a zombie apocalypse. They're already at a disadvantage. Tammy Hill says Judith is 10, so we know how Judith grew up and those kids were brainwashed. So here is where, and American Pride said Daryl's father abused him. He isn't a monster. Well, it depends on which side. See, American Pride, Daryl's not a monster to you. But are there people that Daryl has killed that would see him as a monster? That's kind of my point. My point is, most of the time, our vision is through the eyes of the heroes, of the people that we support. We give them validation because we're fans of them. But it's perspective. I'm sure there's a lot of people that Daryl killed that wish that he wouldn't have killed them. Well, they probably don't because they're killed. And look, there's nothing wrong with that because we're fans, and it's always going to be skewed toward Michonne and Daryl and Rick, and that even if they do wrong, it's less wrong than the other people that do wrong, which is fine. I mean, that's why you have good and bad. Sometimes evil is necessary. Says someone named Evil Tracy Queen. I guess that's appropriate if evil is in your name. I get it. Paris, Alexander tried to save them, but they stole food for medical supplies, plus they took the kids. Well, that's true. But Rick also made a deal with Gregory to kill all the saviors and kill Negan for a better deal on their supplies than he was getting before. I mean, everything can be analyzed to who's right and who's wrong. And these are adults. I'm talking about kids at this point. I don't, some of these kids are probably 6, 7, 8 years old. I don't put a lot of weight in their decision-making ability when it's Jocelyn who was clearly the one that was forcing them. Jocelyn is the one who is teaching them how to brand. And actually, she was coaxing. Hang on. Here's a point. I want to get beyond perspective. I got a super chat here. American Pride says, Daryl didn't string people up and brand them. Daryl wouldn't do that. There's a line. American Pride, the kids did not string them up and brand them either. Jocelyn did. Jocelyn was coaching them and encouraging the kid to do it. So there's a difference. Not once did I see the kids get together and, a couple of them sitting in the back smoking a cigarette saying, hey, when I'm done with the smoke, little Winnie, you're going to go in there and strike up the fire. Little Tommy, you're going to go over there and get the branding iron. She's sitting in the corner encouraging them to do it, not them getting together doing it. This is not a rogue band of children who are out making their own decision. It's a group of children that were being influenced by an adult, which is why I think there should be pause. And you know how I know? Because what would Michonne do? The reason I know this is a scrupulous question is because the main character on the show, not us cheerleaders that, we like to eat popcorn and watch UFC fighting while people beat each other to death because we have this animalistic instinct that likes to watch gladiators because we're fans. We're not the gladiators. We're not the person in there getting beat down. Hit him again, hit him again. Michonne was that person. And Michonne was in the know. She was in the moment. And in that moment, she understood it. She showed pause. She showed restraint until the last possible minute. And that's what I think the point of the episode was about. It was about this dialogue and this debate and to understand It's not always right or wrong. There's a lot of questionable circumstances, and that's why the writers hyped it up as dark and controversial, because from that perspective, it is controversial. And if we don't give pause to that, I don't think we do respect to the writers. If we just say, no, fine, kill them, they're wrong, they're bad, I think we're missing the bigger picture that the writers really want us to take exception to it to a degree and talk about whether or not it crosses the line or it didn't. And some people are going to say it did. Some people are going to say it didn't. And some people are going to say she had to cross the line. So the question that I have to ask you before we close down the stream, did it cross the line? Did it not cross the line? Or was it a necessary action by a person that had no other choice? And with that, we are going to sign out on this controversial topic and table our conversation until tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I appreciate you guys getting involved in this debate. It's always going to be a challenge when there's an episode like this. For that reason, I think this was one of the best shows, in my mind, in The Walking Dead. A lot of people don't agree with that. A lot of people, wasn't enough action. It was too much backstory. It's been dubbed as a filler. But questionable situations and scrupulous situations and things that just aren't really, really clear, for me, are wonderful. And that's kind of what I like, because I love to talk and I love to debate topics. And there's times that I want to see action. I just want to go in and watch Terminator and, torch some buildings or do whatever you do. But then there's times that I really want to get into the character composition and what that character's thinking and what they're feeling. In this episode, I felt Michonne changing. I felt her in the current day that she needed to listen to Judith, and that now she's going to respect other people's opinions. But I felt her loss with Rick. I felt her pain when she was attacked. And I felt her emotional struggle when she had to do something that she pretty much vowed not to do. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I got a few dislikes because obviously people don't like the debate and they don't like the opinion. But thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys had a good time, if you like talking about The Walking Dead, if you like everything that we do, from predictions to theories to spoilers that are out there, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. And we will be back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We got 2 streams going on tomorrow night. Got a couple more super chats on the way out the door. Got William the Walking Dead Billboard says, in my top 5, love this episode. So much emotion in this one. I agree with you, William. DDA Ohio, I would pay big money to see Tara getting branded. There you go. How many people would rather have been Tara than Michonne? Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, one thing you always get, we might not always agree, but I will promise you, you will get a deep, well thought out philosophical debate if you tune in to our channel. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Peace.